everyone, my name is Abby Rollins, and we are going to learn a thing or two about JavaScript object notation, otherwise known as JSON. Let's get started. JavaScript object notation is a text format that facilitates structured data interchange between all programming languages. JSON has a syntax of braces, brackets, colons, and commas that are useful in many contexts, profiles, and applications. JSON was originally created as a way you could hold structured data to be used in a JavaScript program. But once people saw how simple and elegant it was, it started being used in all kinds of applications. Right now, it's the most popular way for web application program interfaces to send and receive data. JSON has a very small number of basic data types, which we will get into in the next couple of slides. Let's talk about XML, or Extensible Markup Language, versus JSON for a second. XML has its origins in HTML, but instead of being used to capture data for a website like HTML, it is used to capture any type of structured data. So something to know about XML is it is simpler than SMGL, or Standard Generalized Markup Language, whereas JSON is simpler than XML. XML is human and machine readable, whereas JSON is much easier for humans and machines to read than XML. And last, XML does not match the data model of most programming languages. So that's a disadvantage. But then JSON is familiar to many programming languages. It is said that XML has a big problem as a data interchange format, although the disadvantages are compensated for by the benefits of interoperability and openness. But JSON promises the same benefits of interoperability and openness without the disadvantages. JSON's text format uses conventions that are familiar to programmers of the C family of languages, including C, C++, C#, Java, JavaScript, Perl, Python, and many others. These are properties that make JSON an ideal data interchange language. Objects are JSON's dictionaries. The object is an unordered set of key-value pairs that follows a specific syntax. They are enclosed in curly braces. Keys and values are separated by a colon. Pairs are separated by commas. And keys and values can be any data type. Here are universal data structures used in JSON. We've got strings, numbers, booleans, and null. Strings need to have text enclosed in single or double quotation marks. Numbers can be an integer or decimal, positive or negative. Booleans are either true or false with no quotation marks. Null means nothing and also has no quotation marks. Arrays are ordered collections of values. An array begins with a left bracket and ends with a right bracket. Values are separated by a comma. Arrays in JSON are almost the same as arrays in JavaScript. In JSON, array values must be of type string, number, object, array, boolean, or null. You can see the examples in the right. The first array has a list of numbers, 1, 3, 10.1, -8, 0, and 55. The second array consists of strings, red, purple, and orange. And the third consists of mixed data types. So we've got a number, a string, a boolean, and null. I'm going to show you an example of a JSON file. I brought up brackets here, and I'll type an example of a JSON file that captures information about a song. I'm going to start off with an object, so that means starting with curly braces. I just type 1, then both the closed and open appear. This object is going to have a key of song in quotation marks. We'll put a colon here. And then we've got another set of curly braces. We then indent, and we have some key value pairs. First one is a title. This will be the title of the song, and I'll call it JSON Jig. Next will be the artist, and its value is going to be Abbey Road. That'll be the name of our group here singing the song. The last one is going to be musicians. Now for musicians, instead of just a string, I'm going to do an array of strings that will list every musician. There will be 2 of them, so we'll go to the next line. The value is going to be an array of strings. Arrays start with square brackets, so I'll type a square bracket. Then the first string is going to be the name of the first musician. I'll call that Abby Rollins, or me. I'll put a comma, and then the name of the second musician, I'll say Ed Sheeran. So you can see there's a comma between each of those strings. So this is an example of a simple JSON file that we can use to describe a song. Here are some uses of JSON. First, JSON is primarily used to transmit data between a server and web applications. It can be used for serializing and transmitting structured data over a network connection. And the last bullet talks about how I assume we will be using JSON for this class. Web services and APIs use JSON format to provide public data. So looking ahead to lesson 11, you'll see that we will be working on JavaScript objects and an API with weather information we will need for our weather pages. Now, for those not familiar with APIs, an API is an application program interface consisting of one or more publicly exposed endpoints to a defined request-response message system, typically expressed in JSON or XML. I wanted to look into the API a little further on the Weather Underground webpage. I assume we will be making API requests over HTTP, and the response will be weather data. Or in other words, our weather page will be asking Weather Underground for current weather data to update on our own program. This is an example of the JSON that will be received when we request it from Weather Underground, and then it'll be parsed into JavaScript objects for usable data. This concludes the end of the presentation. So thank you for listening, and I certainly hope you have learned a few things about JSON today.